Hi there, folks. Today we're looking at linear regressions. And a linear regression is still along the same lines of what we've been doing in terms of lines of best fit, that kind of thing. The big difference is a linear regression is a calculated line of best fit. So instead of going through and saying, hey, we're going to draw a line that looks good, and then we're going to find the slope of that line and the y-intercept, and now we're going to use that line for predictions, we're going to calculate a line of best fit. So this is like the best fit that the best fit line that there could be. And we could calculate this by hand. That is possible, but it's a very tedious calculation that's not worth our time to do because graphing calculators can do this for us. So we can use graphing calculators, or you can use computer programs to come up with this. All right. Just like before, though, we need to have a positive or negative correlation in terms of a linear correlation in order to do a linear regression. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do this using the Casio graphing calculator. All right. So, for example, if I look at something like this guy, so here the example I have is the number of years and the price of a stock over those number of years. And so the first thing I have to do, I don't want to go right to calculating a linear regression because the fact of the matter is I don't know if this is going to follow a linear function. I still have to look at a scatter plot in order to determine, do I have something that looks like a line? So I have to determine that first, and I can do that over here. I could do that by hand like I did before, and I could plot these and see what it looks like. But the calculator could actually do this for us as well. So here's my Casio graphing calculator. The first thing I'm going to do is go to Menu. So I'm going to hit this big Menu button. And I want to go over to Stat, stands for statistics, because that's what we're calculating here. When we're looking at data collected from something, we're talking about statistics. So that's number 2. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to punch this in. So I have list 1 and list 2. List 1 is going to be my x value, so I'm going to punch my x values in. So it looks like I've got 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. And the one you can't see is 11, but I promise it's there. I can scoot this guy. There it is, 11. And then if I punch the rest of these in, so list 2 now, I punch my y values in. And one of the things with the Casio graphing calculator, if you haven't used these before, is after you punch the value, and you have to hit enter to get it to take. So like I punched that 50 in, hit enter, and then I could punch the 55 in. All right. So it's really, and the enter button is really the execute button on the Casio. It's this guy down here, the exe, execute or enter. All right. And so now what I want to do is I want to graph this thing. And again, on the Casio graphing calculator, you see these little things that are written down here. These are like little tabs that are at the bottom of the screen. Those correspond with these buttons right here. All right. So F1 is whatever this tab is. F2 is whatever is written here for this tab. F3, F4, okay? And so when I'm in a different menu, those F buttons will do different things depending on what tabs I see. So this time I want to graph. So I'm going to hit F1. And I just choose graph, either graph 1, graph 2, graph 3. I'm going to choose graph 1 because why not? And the reason it has multiples there is because I might want to store this graph and use it later, so I can choose a different one, and then it stores all those different values, okay? So here we go, graph 1. There's my scatter plot, all right? And as I look at that thing, yeah, it looks like it follows a line, so now I'd be able to do a linear regression. But let me write this down. And since we did this on the calculator, we're not going to go crazy. Just kind of in general plot some of these points and give an approximation as to where they are with regard to one another. All right, so it kind of looked, yeah, sort of like that. All right, that looks pretty much like the thing that I saw when I had my calculator up. Yeah, it looks pretty good, okay? But the idea here is we just want the scatter plot to tell us what kind of equation are we looking at. Now that I know that this thing is a linear type of equation, I can calculate the linear regression. And right here, notice the tabs have changed. This tab is calculate, so I can hit F1 for calculate. And I can calculate different things here. Where is it? Oh, no, it's not going to give me that option. So I'm going to back out. So I'm going to hit exit. I'm going to exit again, go back out to the original. And if you keep hitting exit, it just keeps bringing you back to the previous menu. Now here, let's hit calculate. And so now F2 is calculate. And right here, you see this one that says reg. That means regression. All right, so they're abbreviating the word regression. So I'm going to hit F3. And now I have to tell it what kind of regression. For us, it's going to be just the X regression. Okay? And if I was looking at something that looked like a quadratic, looked like a parabola, I would hit x squared. If it looked like a cubic, I would hit x to the second. So I'm going to hit x squared. And here it is. And you might have one step in between there. It might ask you, again, it depends on how new your Casio is. You might have one more step where to ask you to select the format of the equation. It'll ask you, do you want y equals ax plus b, or do you want y equals, bx plus a? What format do you want this in? So you just have to select a format. And notice it writes the format down right here. So it says y equals ax plus b. And then up here it tells me that a is 3.21, tells me that b is 19.88. So think of that. A is basically my slope and b is my y-intercept. Okay? So I can go ahead and write this guy down. So it was y equals, it was 3.21x plus 19.88. And that's my best fit line. That's my linear regression. Okay, so it's a calculated line of fit, and now I can use that to make predictions. And notice here, I'm going to predict 20 years. I actually have that question written down here, so I can scroll down. It says, what's the stock price going to be in 20 years? If I hold on to this thing for a while, it looks like it keeps increasing. I want to know, how much money am I going to make if I start selling these things? So keep in mind, in terms of your variables, the x value was your years, so I'm going to plug the 20 in for x. And again, this is a job for my calculator. If I go back to my good old Casio, since I've got it pulled up, I want to leave this menu. Remember, I'm in the stat menu, so I go menu, and run math is where you go to do like basic calculations, 3.21 times the 20, and then plus the 19.88. Okay, so I get $84.08. Which isn't a bad chunk of change. It really depends on how many shares I own in this company. If I own a bunch, I could sell those for quite a bit. But then a follow-up question, I want to wait till this thing goes through the roof. So let's say I want to know when the stock price is going to be $400, okay? And so in terms of my equation, again, my equation was this, y equals the 3.21x plus the 19.88. I want to know when it's going to hit 400. That's asking me about the y value. The y value is the price, is the cost of the stock, okay? And now this is a linear equation. I just have to solve this thing. And again, don't get too stressed out about trying to not use a calculator in something like this, all right? Anytime you have awkward numbers like this, especially with decimals, just grab the calculator. Looks like 380.12. And I'm definitely going to grab the calculator for the next one, trust me. I could do this by hand, but man, it is a waste of my time to do this division by hand. So let me divide each of those. Let me put my answer up here. All right, calculator, come on back. And, again, you could punch the whole thing in minus this guy. I was doing a little stages when I do it, so I do that and then divide it by the 3.21. Okay, so I got 118.42. I'll just do 118.4. But now think about what that means. Y was the price, X was the number of years. I'm going to have to wait 118.4 years in order for the stock to reach that amount. So if I'm waiting that long, I should probably cash out a little earlier. I'm not going to get to enjoy the benefits of this, okay? Or maybe I'm saving it for my great-great-grandchildren, something like that, okay? But again, a linear regression, it's just a calculated line of fit, all right? We use the calculator. We go into the stat menu. We type in our lists. We calculate the linear regression, and then we can use that equation to make predictions, okay?